Good morning, everyone. Welcome. This is Angela Coulter and
Sarah C. Avignoni.
bringing you this week's Ascended World. Well, we were at a little bit of a loss as to getting to a topic for weirdly whatever reason. And it wasn't because we didn't have, it was because we've been so entrenched in topics and different things that we're like, what do we pull out and talk about?
Right, right, right.
This one keeps on coming up.
Yeah, and it keeps coming up in different ways and different references and trying to pull that all together
Yeah.
into a succinct topic.
Yeah, and it's because we have things going in so many different directions. Good morning, Michael. Good morning, Gloria. And so, yeah, we have things going through in so many different directions, and that's part of the topic today. Is there are so many things going on. It's going on for the individual, right? There's so much we're changing individually. There's so much we're changing in the community. There's so much we're changing, collectively in some big sweeping changes that have happened and are happening.
Right.
So we get the question all the time is how do you do this? Like, how do you do this? Like, it's so
Right.
overwhelming. Like, I hear this from like many people who are very active on their spiritual journeys, right? Like, which is, how do I do this? I'm so overwhelmed. Like, I don't know where to start. I don't know where to focus.
Right.
And, we've talked about this because, we went through that weekend not this weekend, but last weekend in our deep dive there down in Florida. And I mean, yeah, there were times where all of us were overwhelmed. It was just
Right.
overwhelming, especially
And what was interesting is we were each overwhelmed by something different at different times. So it's not
yes,
even like it was the same thing, even
yeah,
though when you drill down, typically the core was the same,
yes,
but it manifests different in each.
yes, yeah. And so it doesn't. And as we go deeper, good morning, Yasmin. As we go deeper, because these are like, we talk about these deep dives and we literally use hypnosis. We use all kinds of tools or whatever we're guided with energy sessions and everything else. And we go into places that we typically don't like going into because that's what we hide from the things we hide from ourselves, right?
Right. Well, and it's that unconscious mind going, these are not the droids you're looking for.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So when we start pulling that out, I mean, and that's where we're getting to, right? We're getting to this place of saying, okay, to move forward is for us to ditch all that crap we have sitting in the closet,
Right.
whatever's left in that really deep one, in that crawl space closet that we never look at.
Right.
No.
Exactly.
So so then that becomes overwhelming because then the ego goes, I don't want to look at this.
Well, and who wants to clean out a closet? Who wants to deal with stuff that they put in there because they didn't want to deal with it?
Right. Or for many it's the garage, right?
Yeah. Or the attic.
Or the attic, right?
Right. Right.
It's like, oh yeah, no, just leave that up there, that's okay, it's fine
It's
up
fine
there.
where it is.
Yeah,
It's fine.
exactly. So we start bringing in this stuff and so then we get overwhelmed and then people are like, on top of it, we have so much that's going on around us, like in the external world. And if we're on this conscious, path of resolution and expansion, right, to being the expanded consciousness we are, to remembering that, then it's like there are times the ego gets better and better at assimilating into the, as part of the whole. But then there are moments where it's like, whoa, I can't do this. It's too much.
Right. Michael has a comment. What comes to mind is the process of reconciliation where you are introducing a new belief and you need to rebalance in order to move forward and regain the new comfort level.
Right. And the challenge is right now there is no comfort level. The comfort level is there's no, and I always go back to that line from Greece, the rules are there ain't no rules.
Yeah. Well, and you have about, maybe an hour to establish that new comfort level before the next thing comes.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, and it's funny because every time we do these deep dive weekends, I always say to myself, why do I schedule anything the week after we do them?
I know.
don't know why I do
I
that.
know.
every time I'm like, oh, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. And then I'm just
I
like,
can set it to be fine.
I can set it to be fine. And then I get to the weekend and we were just talking when we get off, get off where it's like, oh, I'm so exhausted. Like and
Right.
not in an upset or drained or anything. It's just, I just feel tired,
Right.
And but anyway, so that's just a little piece. But then there's people who aren't even doing that, who won't even do that, who won't even get to that, who won't who stop doing their self work, who
Right.
stop doing, any kind of their spiritual, exploration because they're overwhelmed. Because they're like, well, how can I deal with, COVID and vaccines and conspiracy theories and governmental stuff and, world issues? And how can I do that with everything being so crazy?
Right. Right.
And so what it comes back to is, what, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, you and I we really started getting these heavy things come into us about all this kind of stuff that people consider conspiracy theory, right?
Right.
And the mind, the ego loves the drama of it, right? Loves, ooh, I want to go down this rabbit hole.
Well, and in actuality, it's a distraction
Right. Right.
because it's like a TV show, something that you never imagined, and it's like, oh, I could really forget about a lot of things over here if I just put all my energy into looking at
Right.
this.
And it becomes like an addiction.
It does.
So,
But the addiction is really the distraction because I like not thinking about all this.
right. Right. And so we're getting all that. And so we're looking at, and we've had numerous times over the past, I don't know, 5-6 years where we keep on getting like gluts of stuff that'll come up. Right.
Right.
And so this whole glut of stuff started coming up again. This is before all of this started last year. And at some point it was like, I remember it was like the end of the year. I think it was like 2019. And I was like, meh. Like went into guidance. So what is it? Because I actually had no emotional connection to it. And I'm like,
Right.
so what is there, because that's me too. Right. Yeah. Population control. Yep. That's me doing that too. Like, because that's me. It's all me. It's nothing that's not me. So at one point I went into guidance and I said, so what's the importance of this?
Right.
What is there for me to do around it or anything or explore? And my answer was learn. It's important to remember how to navigate it. And that's when the
Right.
word navigate came up. And we were like, oh, what a great word. Right. And so the origin of that, and that sort of stuck with us, right? Because
Right.
we were getting the same thing.
Navigating's been a big theme.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, we get into this place and we go, oh, I've got this. I can navigate this fine. Right. But
Right.
the collective ego, the subconscious pulls up something that is like a little addiction, a little shiny, that goes, oh, wait, I'm going to take a little rest up over here.
Right. Oh, and I can justify that because it's small and it looks harmless and I would get joy out of this.
That's right. Right.
Right.
Or it's comfortably uncomfortable or,
Right.
or whatever. Right.
Or this is a bite-sized chunk that I can deal with.
Mm-hmm.
So let me veer off this way just a tiny bit.
Yep. Yep. And then before you know it, you have a whole bunch of those, right, that are keeping you from moving, and you feel like you're treading water because you're not going anyplace.
Right. Right.
So that is what we keep on getting this guidance on, is navigate, right? And so what we've talked about is when you look at navigation, right, what do we have? We have navigation on our phones and our cars and everything.
Right.
And what is it? It's a satellite way up there telling you, okay, take this turn, take this turn, take this turn, right? And even
Right.
sometimes, I don't know about you, but there are sometimes where I'm going, oh no, I know, I'll go this way, it's better.
Well, and I mean, even with like Waze, there's that, but then there's also all the information being fed in about there's an accident here, there's a backup here, so I'm going to tell you the best way to go.
Right. And sometimes you balk at that, right? Because then the ego goes, well, why aren't you taking me this way? This is the way it should go, right? What a perfect analogy for how we
Right.
manage the 3D world through the ego and, from what we see versus, the higher, not the higher, the expanded self, right?
Right.
And that because the expanded self is doing the same thing, is looking up there from satellite view going, okay, I see the little clog up here. I see the potential distraction here. And we're going from point A to point B. And let's do this efficiently because we've got all this other stuff beyond point B. We've got point C, D, E, F, etc.
Down to triple C and
Exactly.
triple Z.
Exactly. So, and it's not that anything is wrong.
Absolutely.
There's no wrong way of going, right? So here's the thing, like you can decide to listen to your navigation, or you can decide to take it your own way, and then I've done that sometimes. And yeah, of course, yeah, Waze was considering the traffic that I didn't know I was going to hit because I didn't know until I got there, right?
Right.
So it ended up taking me a little longer, but
I think one of the things that, when we first started talking about this, and we think that, navigation is how do I get from this point to this point the most effective way, time wise, resource wise, and everything else. But what we aren't taking into consideration is that our mind and our unconscious mind, ego, are saying, oh, but maybe we don't really want to go to this point. Maybe we want to go to this point over here. And maybe we want to go over here and over here and over here. And so we think we want to go from point A to B, but actually we'd really like to go to, 8.5 over here. And that's what we're talking about in the navigation, is not necessarily, the best way to get from here to here. It's navigating around all those distractions that we actually want.
Right. Well, the ego wants. Right.
Right. We think we want.
Right. And right now, it's like, that's how we got to this, because we were talking about it's like the Avengers movie, the Avengers Endgame movie, where it was like you have 1,000 things going on at the same time. So what do you pay attention to?
Right.
Right. You've got, I mean, and what a great illustration. It's funny that it just happened to be on TV last night. And I just happened to catch like the last hour of it because we were like, whatever, before we went to bed, or last half hour. And there's so many things going on at once. There's so many different characters doing different things. What do you look at? Well, that's what's going on right now. And it's like, that's even navigating the spiritual community, because we have so many flavors of ice cream now, right? We have so
and so much of that is ego based, but it feels good.
Right.
It gives that feel good, distraction flavor.
Right. And so, when we say things like, well, simply, if we focus on guidance and listening to guidance, which is basically trusting the navigation.
Right.
Right. Then we don't have to worry about any of the other stuff, except we love the sexy distractions. We love, the toys, and we love the tools, and we love the crutches, and we love, the stories that we create around all this stuff,
Well, my favorite analogy, and I guess I'm dating myself, was the Clash of the Titans, where, and I don't even remember who it was, lashed himself to the mast of his boat while his crew put on earmuffs or earplugs or whatever to row through the sirens.
Mm-hmm.
So he's saying, oh no, it's wrong. It's okay. They're good. But the crew is staying focused on getting to that point B safely. And that to me, that's exactly what navigation is not paying attention to that.
Right. And so right now, I mean, this is like really what's going on is we have so much. There's so much going on. How do you stay, and that's the question we get, is how do you stay focused? Like, how do you know? This is what I hear all the time. What do you know? How do you know what to do? How do you know what direction to take? And I'm like, there are some days where I go, what's next?
Right.
Or it's my next turn, because I have a million choices that I could make. and yes, we do end up getting there. We all end up getting there.
Right.
But part of it is that it's just how quickly and I feel like, part of the progression is getting to this place where we are simply, and it's not that we become robots, excuse me. Oh, it's not that we become robots that just are like, turn left, turn right, or whatever, but that we see everything, but almost like we're about, like, that's the transcendent navigation. It's that we can
Right.
see everything that's going on. We can appreciate and maybe even take a little dab here and there, but we stay on path.
Right. And have compassion all at the same time
Right.
without just getting sucked in, hook,
Yeah.
line, and sinker.
Yep. Yep. And that is the challenge, right? Because like I said, if we just even look at spirituality right now, it's crazy in all of the crazy, in a great way, in the colorful, like rainbow flavors of ice cream way.
Right.
All the different ways we have of waking up and allowing ourselves to remember and everything else. And the ego loves the complexity of so many different things, right? Oh, let's put this in and this in and this in. And it's saying, oh, let's do this because that's, that'll be more powerful because we have more stuff in there. We have more things instead of the navigation is, let's make this simpler.
Right.
Let's just be this instead of having to do all these things to be this. Right. And to remember we're already there. That's the funny part. If you listen about navigation going, oh wait, guess what? The voice is going to come on and say, okay, you have arrived at your destination. And it's like, what? I didn't go anywhere yet.
I never left.
Yeah.
Right.
But so that's one of the biggest, it's a challenging thing to for us to really, because we talk about it and we're like, yeah, we can do that, no problem. But how many times we go one day and we say, oh, well, I was intending to do this, and then this happened, right?
Right.
And it's not that that's wrong. Sometimes, actually, because the ego wants to do something this way, the expanded self says, well, no, but this is going to happen.
Right.
This is the way we're going. And so that's this whole guidance thing that we're talking about. We talk about guidance all the time, right? I think every single episode we talk about in some way, shape, or form, the importance of getting down to trust and guidance.
Right. And which trust, that's what I was going to say. And there's so many facets that all interplay here. And, trust guidance. Well, you got to be able to hear your guidance. So you need to be able to have that level of trust. And you also have to know yourself.
Yes.
You have to know yourself to know, okay, that's my ego telling me this, or, and we've talked about that. I mean, it's so complex, but not really.
Right. And Michael makes a great point. The illusion of a lot going on at once when it's just one thing happening in multiple ways. Exactly.
Exactly.
It's great. That's a great way to put it. Yeah, because it really is. It's all the illusion, right? Of all these things that don't really, well, they don't really exist. They do or they don't. It depends on how you want to put them. Either everything exists or nothing does.
Right. Well, and it's funny because the traditionally, when something is about to be discovered as not really what you think it is, it gets kind of panicky and starts, distracting and doing this and really, really stretching and putting itself out there. And I feel like that's what this illusion is doing. Saying, oh, no, you still have to look here, as we're all starting to go, wait a minute, no, this is not what's important. This is not reality. This is not the point B that I want to get to. And I think that all this chaos, as you said, is just that attempt at the ego and everything else to distract us to sustain itself.
Yep. And there was a whole point that I had while you were saying that, and I was like, it just flew right out my head, but that's okay. But yeah, and there's definitely days of you do have days of questioning, like, well, what is it? What is it for me to do? What is it for me to be? Where, where is it for me to go? And guidance, here's the thing, guidance isn't always going to make sense to you from a logical perspective because the ego
Right.
doesn't see the whole picture.
Right. Just like Waze, sometimes it's like, okay, I've just got to trust that Waze knows more than I do.
Right. And so, I mean, and there are times, honestly, there are times I get someplace and then I'm like, why am I here? This isn't where I was going. Right.
Right.
This is where I thought I was going. Right.
Right. Even though there are multiple instruments playing the symphony, it's always considered to be playing one song.
Exactly.
Yep. That's
Exactly.
Michael.
And
Yep.
so, but if we get caught in it's like we've chosen, all of us, to be in important, we've chosen as the divine consciousness to embody, to have each very important note in that symphony, right? And so we already are that. So that's the whole thing, right? We have the whole, and really, like I said, the navigation truly is, yeah, you've arrived at your destination.
Right.
There's no place to go because you're already there.
Right.
It's as much as how much we've enjoyed playing this whole game. And I don't know, we're still not getting a clear answer as to, it's almost like it's important for us to give up all the addictions for us to complete this whole set of lessons, set of like experiences, and this level of density, because it's like, well, we are already there. We don't have any place to go. It's just a matter of all the illusion we've created that makes it's almost like time bending. You got to go out to come back in.
Right.
But it's like, okay, so we haven't really got a clear answer as to, well, what's the importance of all that. Well, part of it is, what if you just woke up one morning and said, oh, I realize this, I remember this, I'm just going to let myself access all of this remembrance and I'm done. And we're so,
But we don't want to be.
it was like, the thorn that I had lodged in my side, right? Freaking monstrous thorn, which of course I didn't get like an example of what it was. I just knew it was such a part of when we were doing our weekend, right? And Sarah's talking to me and she's like, we'll take the thorn out. And I'm like, no. Right. And you think, well, that's crazy. But it was like, it felt like it was such a part of me and I loved it like a child. Like it was.
Well, you would put so much energy towards like a child.
And I had built so many layers and so many facets around that thorn, what that thorn represented. And it was like I cried and I sobbed and like, no, I don't want to let it go. It's like a part of me and
right.
all that stuff. And then once I let it go, once I took it out and let that hole fill back in or whatever, then there was all those things on my back that were all those layers of different things that I had created to accommodate that thorn.
Right.
A great illustration. And I'll tell you, it's still shifting stuff from that.
Right. Right.
Distractions. I get sick. Well, not me, but I'm saying somebody gets sick, right? Like we get sick. I'm going to put all my energy into creating an identity with that sickness. I'm going to put all my energy into, what do I do to manage that sickness? How do I manage my life with that sickness? That's that thorn.
Right.
It's a thorn like that. And, and then it's like you put so much energy into that one thing that you forget that you're here to do something else or be something.
Well, and then you add in the whole judgment of yourself, like, well, if it goes away, then boy, do I look foolish for having, focused on that so much. And it's like, which almost keeps it going.
Yeah. Yeah. And we have a lot of that.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So there are so many of these things that we've underneath, and that's part of it too. We have all of these distractions and then we think, oh, we're comfortable with it. If I really let this go, like, do I look stupid? Right? Do I feel stupid because I let myself get distracted with that?
Right.
It's like, well, no. Only if you choose to judge yourself that way and feel
Right.
you
Right. And
know?
I heard a really good example of talking about that, about how other people's judgment really can't stick unless you, on some level, believe that there is a degree of truth to it.
Right.
So if you can get to that place where there is, in your mind, no truth to that, you just don't see the judgment.
Yep. Yep. That's and that's the case because as long as as long as we worry about what other people think of us, that's always going to direct our navigation, by the way,
Right. Exactly.
by somebody else.
Exactly.
Now, and I don't know about you, but I have so many examples of when I am being guided to go a certain way or go someplace, and I have somebody else in the car telling me to go a different way, and then I don't get there because I listen to them, or we get there, or we get lost or whatever. This is like the age old thing between my husband and I, but of then letting his navigation, his way of doing it, super overrule mine, right? And versus saying, yeah, I know I'm gonna. And actually, I've just finally these past several years gotten to the place where it's like, thank you, but no, thank you. I'm driving. I'm behind the
Well,
wheel.
and I being one who wants to give directions, have really consciously sat there and said to myself, they may have a different route in mind, and I need to just be quiet. And then when it if it doesn't work out, then it's like I don't want to. Part of me wants to go, see, I knew you were going the wrong way. But I just say, well, I didn't know what you had in mind, and I didn't know where you, like, if there was a different stop or whatever. So, okay, now let's figure out where we need to go,
Right. Right.
because I might not have all the facts that they have, so I let them have their journey, so to speak.
Right. 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 Well, and I too am the same way in the passenger seat, so I can't really complain because I'll be like, well, why did you turn here? Why didn't you turn this way? This
Right.
way?
Where are you going?
Yeah. So I have done that too. I've learned that part as well as, okay, well, if I don't want somebody telling me how to go someplace, then it's not for me to tell somebody else to go someplace, because that's what I practice here, right?
Right.
It's not for me to tell you what to do. It's for you to listen to your own guidance. And my goal for working with anybody is how you can tap into that guidance yourself.
And how I, as someone who's observing, not judge your guidance,
Exactly.
because it is not mine.
Right. Right. And so, like to when we talk about that, like in sessions and things like that, and there are times when I see the bigger picture, I see where they're going, their navigation is going, and that's the looking at things from expanded consciousness, and they're still getting distracted or doing this or whatever, but it's not mine, it's not my journey.
Right. Right.
I'm here for when somebody wants me to help them tap into listen to their own navigation, listen to their like over the distractions of the ego. um and that's and it's our choice each. It is, and it's funny to that's how I got there with driving. You think that the driving would be first, right? And then the bigger picture stuff would be later. But no, because my professional practice is doing that with other people and just sitting back and being like, okay, so what does your guidance say? Or what do you feel like this is? It's funny because I've had people come and be like, well, can't you just do a psychic reading? I'm like, I could do a psychic reading. Absolutely.
But that's through your filter.
But that's not my choice. It's not what I focus on. And it doesn't do you the good of what I feel like, I'm here to do, which is help you tap into that yourself.
Right. Right.
Which,
Well, and you never fully can step into the other person, because you have your own filters and you have your own
right, exactly.
interpretation of everything you experience in that. And so that's the beauty in what we do on these deep dive weekends is we're just the guide and the companion on that journey. And it's not up to us to sit there and say, nope, this means this and this means this, and so just
Right.
do this.
Right.
It's
Right.
all about asking questions and getting you to that place of observation,
Yeah.
which I think is the key, is to
Yes.
getting to that place of objective observation.
Yeah. Knowing that there's a goal, a goal in mind,
Right.
helping the navigation, helping direct the navigation. Well, that's what we do in the hypnosis, right? It's like,
Right.
no,
Right.
no, take that thorn out. What did you say to me? It was so funny. You're like, yeah, because I'd rather with the hypnotized you, I'd rather deal with the hypnotized you, like pushing you to take it out, than you coming out and being like, why the hell did you make me take it out?
Or why did you let me not take it out?
Why did you let me not take it out?
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
But, would that be our goal? Having that endpoint in place. So here's the thing. Always, 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 always with the guidance, right? That's what we always talk about, is stepping back and being like, for everything that we get. Gloria says, you're there to help them learn to trust themselves and trust the journey, not to create dependence on you. Exactly. Which is,
Yeah.
and that's really something to watch for in the whole spiritual field, in all kinds of fields, is anybody who is, their job is to make you dependent on them so that they make more money. That's just taking away your power.
Right.
Right. So let's not just talk about the medical industry right now. We can talk about other stuff now.
Right.
But that's just a side note. But anyway, yeah. I mean, when it's somebody's job to, make you dependent on them so that you continue paying them, then it's taking away your power. That's key number one. Great point, Gloria. So the thing is, everybody wants, we want to roll our sleeves up. We want to have the big, I see a lot of this theme now, right, across the spiritual community. We want to roll our sleeves up and get involved in the big epic battle.
Right.
Right. Because we have talked about the big epic battle, but again, of good versus evil for eons, right? We have, we love the big story. We want a big finale. We want a huge, apex to the story, right? Because how many times have you finished a book or a movie and you're like, oh, well, there was really no,
no resolution,
or there was no like big, like, oh, it was all right, but it was sort of anticlimactic, right?
Right.
How many times have you said that?
Right.
We want a climax. We want like some big, because that's part of the story. And so that's what we're creating with all this chaos, all this stuff that's going on. But maybe the resolution is there is no chaos because it's a simple remembrance that we're already done.
Right. Which, I mean, if you look at the Wizard of Oz,
Right.
I mean, you go through all that only for her to remember that she never really left home.
Right.
And that she had everything she needed all the time.
Right. Right. So that's the thing for us to look at, and to just, if you feel that overwhelming feeling, right, from being in the middle of chaos, step back. And here's the thing, here's the simplicity of it. Step back and say, what is there for me to be and what is there for me to do? And hear what your internal navigation says, not what other people tell you, because now everybody and their brother wants to tell you what you should do and what you shouldn't do.
Exactly.
Spiritual community and not, spiritual, medical, peer, family, everybody. What was that?
Government.
Government. Exactly. Right. So
state, local, and national.
And international.
Right.
Can't forget that. So that's, and it's that simple. But to get around to that is the trust. Well, if you don't trust yourself.
Well, and if you don't know yourself, to trust yourself.
Right.
So there's so many layers in getting to that level of trust and that level of knowing yourself, and the interdependence, the independence.
Yeah. Yeah. And so like people like say, oh yeah, okay, whatever, I got that. And it's like, you got that, except you're doing this because other people told you should, or that you should be this, or that you got guidance once 3 years ago that said you should do that and you've not checked since, that kind of stuff.
Right.
What do you do when you say, hey, navigation, I'm going here? And then they say, okay, well, start taking this road. And then you turn navigation off.
Right. Right.
And then it's like, well, if I had a 4-hour drive and I just turn my navigation off 5 minutes in, how am I gonna, like, if it's very rare you're gonna follow that same road to get to that endpoint. So,
Exactly.
but that's the whole thing, is we think we got guidance once, or something felt really good because it felt really yummy to the ego, and so we followed this path. And it's like I said, it's not wrong. It's that realization of saying, I don't have to go anywhere, I'm already there.
Right. Yep.
And so the trust.
And what do I make already being there look like for me?
Right. Right.
And that's that being.
Right. That's the being. And what do we need to get around to that? Like, we, again, go out to go in, right? Worthiness, because we won't trust if we don't think we're worthy.
Right.
All right. All right. Now you're gonna have to list these with me, because I'm not gonna remember them.
Forgiveness. That's another one.
The forgiveness, which we've been talking about a lot, right? We
Right.
have a whole program on that. So forgiveness of all these things that we've judged ourselves and others about as wrong or right or whatever, right? In duality.
There's the shadow, knowing and understanding and embracing the shadow.
That it's right, that it's a part of us, and that we're not complete without it, without
Right.
Allowing that in.
And you've said worthiness, right?
Yeah, that was the first one.
Yeah.
Worthiness, trust, shadow, forgiveness.
Then the guidance.
Right. Like,
and then self-responsibility, taking responsibility for everything that you think, do, feel, create, all of that.
yes.
Thought, word, and deed.
Yes. And that everything around us is guidance. Everything around us is some reflection of a reminder for us to check in with ourselves to say, so what does that say? What is that pointing me to? Or what is that, what is that for me to see?
Right.
Or remember through seeing this or having this conversation or hearing this. Not that that's necessarily exactly what's, like somebody else said something, that's exactly what you're supposed to listen to. But what's the nugget for me to take from this as guidance, right? So the guidance itself, and then self-love, right?
Right.
And nourishment, right? So coming back to that place of being self-centered, hate to say it in that way, because we say that's a bad thing, but it's being self-centered, self-focused, self-nourished, self-love,
self-centric.
Yes. Yeah. I like that. To a point to say, I am the center of the multiverse, because there is only me, because you're me too. All of it's me. It's all me. It's all about me.
Right. So let's focus there.
Yeah. Right. And when you say that, it's like, well, I've never left. I'm already here.
Right.
All this illusion was to remind me that I'm already all of this, And so that's sort of the resolution. So, and we talk about all this in this way. It's funny that it sort of rolls in, because we didn't really plan that.
No, we really didn't, but it's perfect.
But we also have on Thursday, April Fool's Day, we have 7 days of 7 freebies of talking about a 7-month program that we're doing now that has all these different facets in it that sort of break things down into bite-sized pieces, like forgiveness was. And forgiveness will be part of that, but we have the 6 other elements. It's all not what you think it is, all those things, not what you think it is. I can't just, I haven't just done that in one piece. So we're turning over a lot of rocks. We're looking in these cracks and crevices now. So we're really excited about that. We've been talking about that a lot lately. But the funny part was we did not connect this with that
until right now.
So I was like, oh, look at that. That laid out.
Well, and it gives you tools, like we said, and it teaches you how to do this for yourself.
Yep. So stay tuned. You'll probably see the event stuff come up for this afternoon, because the program itself starts in May, but we're going to do this week-long sort of intro for freebies of this is what you could do. You could take parts, you could do the whole thing,
right?
All kinds of cool stuff. So tune in on that. And but at the same time, let's do our session on allowing ourselves to remember, I remember how to be my own navigation. Ooh, that's good.
Oh, I like that.
I remember I remember how to and I trust. Oh, I'm worthy to remember how to and allow myself to be my own navigation. Trust it, and I trust it with my whole heart.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. All right, that feels simple and powerful. Let's go do that. So anybody who hasn't listened or watched, just close your eyes, take a deep breath, and open your heart to allow yourself to hold yourself in that vibration of reality where that is your truth. That was very different for me anyway. There was a lot of, but what about, but what about, it was like all this, and it was like, it was very much in the beginning, very much a lot of chaos, and everybody's sort of looking at each other, but what about, and then it was just sort of like got quiet, and it's like, yeah, because it's all about presence, that presence and now. And it seems so oversimplified. The ego goes, nah, that can't be it. Like, oh yeah, that's a good starting point, but and it's like, nope, this is it. And they're like, oh yeah. And I was like, oh yeah, let's just sit in this because it feels so good. And then that was it. That was all I got. It was nice. How about you?
I sat there and it was like, you put on glass cleaner and you wipe it, and it's like, oh, it's a little streaky here. And it's like, oh, look how crystal clear this is. And, I've done it. And it's like, but wait a minute, there's still glass there. It's like, so it's the glass that needs to go, not just,
Oh, nice. Yeah.
yeah. So that was good, really good. And it was like, because then, you could feel the breeze, and, it was much more of a sensation other than just visual.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that was definitely
Nice.
something shifted with that.
Yeah. Very nice. Very nice.
Michael says, just got a system upgrade, lots of warmth between my ears.
Nice. Good. Awesome. Yeah, I have a lot of tingling, lots of tingling going on.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, really, at the end of the day, the power comes back to the simplicity of that wholeness, that centered, peaceful presence of now. That's it. So on that, we're going to let you go. But I'm going to say join us next week, but also join us Thursday for our thing. And we're going to do it at the same time, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, probably
Right.
a half hour every day.
Right. And
Or
it'll be Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday.
yeah. Yep. So it's 8 days actually, because I forgot we have the extra day. Yeah. So yeah. So come join us. A little half hour, like
Pick me up.
pick me up, and some little previews of what's to come. And we'll also see you then next Monday on Ascended World as well. So this is Angela Coulter and
Sarah Sieg Avignoni.
signing off with Ascended World. See you next time. Bye.